Thank you all for making the time to join today's session on design thinking. Um, Today's session will be skewed. We'll be talking a little bit more on the customer experience side, and that's our title, our catchy title, says designing wow moments in the world of A experiences. So we are hoping that today's session, by the time we are done with this, you'd have understood what design thinking is and how you can use it to create wonderful experience. Depending on where you are, whether you are an entrepreneur or you are an employee working in a firm, one way or the other, I believe there's something here that would you can take from here and then apply and become better at what you do. So, in a way to introduce ourselves, I will start. My name is Kelvin Quarte. I'm a design thinking facilitator at Design Thinking Ghana. I also I'm also an investment banking professional at IC Securities, right? And I also run a small startup called Kelem Technologies. So, and I'm here with Amanda. So Amanda will do a quick introduction of herself, and then we would get into a presentation.
Good evening, everyone, and it's great to have all of us here. My name is Amanda Akushi. I'm a design thinking facilitator with Design Thinking Ghana Hub. I'm also the founder and lead consultant of Nile Consult, which is a business transformation consultancy that leverages on customer experience, design thinking, and process reengineering. And I'm also an executive member of the Customer Experience Professionals Ghana Association. Great to have you all here, and I look forward to an interesting conversation and discussion this evening. Thank you.
All right, thank you, Amanda. So Amanda and I are both facilitators at Design Thinking Ghana Hub. So it's a group of professionals that take design perspectives to problem solving. So we have sessions like this. If today's your first time, and we have sessions like this where we talk about design thinking, we learn about the design thinking concept from different perspectives, the tools, um, and that come with design thinking, and then we then go ahead to apply to problems so that we can generate innovative ideas for our businesses or the activities that we do, right? So guys, welcome. So in today's session we'll be looking at how to create wow moments, right? Amanda will come in to give us the whole intro into what the wow moments are, the A moments are, and all of that. But before that, let's just walk you through the session objectives. So first, we'll start with in this session, we'll look at how to understand customer experience, right? If you run a business, customers go through a certain form of experience to get your product, right? So that process that they go through, that experience that they have as they interact with you, how do you clearly understand that? And then once you understand it, the next thing that we also want you to learn is how to use human-centered approach, right? So that's what design thinking is, to solve problems as well as innovating in the service that you provide. Right. And then thirdly, we'll discover how these approaches work together to create these exceptional experiences. And then lastly, we'll equip you with practical strategies to implement in your organization. So we would have a series of slide turning and discussions on the topic that we have. And at the latter part, we'll do a very short practical session. We'll break into a group. Amanda and I, would be the facilitators, and then we would go through how to apply what we've learned, so that by the time you leave here, it doesn't just become a session where you just get to listen and then be a passive participant, but then you become active whilst you learn the things that we'll be discussing in today's session. So yeah, so Amanda, over to you.
Okay, thank you very much, Kelvin. So I think before we start, I'm one way or the other, I'm sure we've all experienced some moments when dealing with businesses, whether large organizations or SMEs or micro organizations or companies, and we've experienced some form of either A or wow moment. But before we start, we can share by dropping our experience in the chat box. Can you share with us a recent A moments that you've had with a service provider Basically, the A moment is, you're expecting a service in a particular way, or you were expecting an experience in a particular way when interacting with the business, but it ended up that you were shocked, like asking yourself, is this really how the service is, or is that the experience that customers receive? So I would want to know from you in the chat box. Can you, or if you want to unmute yourself, that even would be even easier for us so that we discuss. We just have some few moments. If we can discuss, can you share with us some experience you've encountered or had that left you with jaw dropping and asking yourself, hey, is this really what experience is about? I'm ready to read some comments. Either you use the emoji button or the raise hand button, or you can chat in the comments, the chat box. I want to hear from you. So we have just few minutes. If you would
Yeah, hi,
share with
Amanda. I
us.
think I have one to share.
Okay, Kofi, tell us.
Right. So, recently I was at um, I think the context is we typically say Ghanaian, Ghanaians are super slow and nonchalant when it comes to customer service, and typically I'm used to that. But I was in this other country and I was buying something from the airport duty free area, and there was a bit of a queue. So I was expecting that the gentleman at the counter would be faster just to get the queue going. But this gentleman was incredibly slow. And that made Ghanaian service providers times 10 faster. If you've watched this movie where the slot was behaving very slowly, that's how this gentleman was. And that was a very big moment for me because I'm like, can't you see there's a queue building up? Can't you be fast about the service delivery? But this gentleman was in a world of his own. And actually wasn't just him. Everybody in that country was times 10 slow. And I think that's their culture. They call it levy levy, which means calm,
Oh,
calm. And so that was a very surprising moment for me.
hey, thank you for sharing, Kofi. I think we have Eugene. Eugene, please unmute yourself.
Yeah, hello everyone, good evening. So
Good
one of
evening.
my A moments was just last. I'm dealing with a major telco, subscribe for fiber broadband, which we use for work, and then it goes down. So the process is you call and then you send a message to them, and they promise within 24 hours they fix it. I did all of that dutifully. 48 hours, no feedback, no response. So I called again. And all I heard was, we are sorry, we are sorry. I said, so when? He said, okay, by evening, you'll be sorted out. Evening, no show. Next day, no show. Third day, I was like, why? So I call again, and then it's a long. Then I go to the DM and send a long complaint. Then it comes back again. It's like the message has been formatted already and reposted. So the next time I called, my first question was, "Hey, you people, is that how you treat your customers? I can't be buying this thing and you be doing all of that." And the gentleman, very stoic, just said, "We are sorry about that. However, we are working hard on solving it. Is there any other way I can help you?" I'm like, hey, Master, this can't continue this way. I need something. So eventually, and as we speak, they've still not resolved it. But hey, that's it. I've just decided to leave it. When they are ready to fix it, they can. I've moved on to something else. Yeah.
Wow. I love those two stories. And this is really okay. I think I have someone else. Desmond. Okay, Desmond, can we hear you?
Hi, good evening, everyone. Can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you.
I think my story just goes similar to Kofi's own as well, where it was outside the country and we went for an event and we're staying in a particular resort slash guest house in a way. And I think I don't know if Kofi's own was an African country, but it was a similar experience where they couldn't be bothered about a lot of things. So considering I mean, you're expecting international guests, the wall sockets were for the country and not really like an international, or to be honest, they didn't even have extension boards available for people that were coming there. So if you didn't have the plug for the sockets they had, I mean, you couldn't charge anything. And we went to complain to the, I think we got there in the evening around 6 p.m. We went to the reception to request it, and they let us know that the person responsible for that had closed. So there's no other way to reach him, nor is there any, like, there aren't even any extension boards unless that person. So we had to go the whole night without charging or doing anything. And we get into the room as well, and there was basically the whole room is dusty, right? You could literally feel the dust or the dirt on the pillows and on the bed sheets. And again, we went to complain, and they're like, the person we need to complain to has also closed. So unless the next day, and no effort was made to come and even clean the room or do anything like that. It's just like, yeah, the one that was there is like, it's not my job. I'm just a night security guy, and that was it. So yeah, that was a very, very big a wow. I think that's even an a wow moment. It's not just an a. Thank you.
You very much. I love the experiences you've shared, and it's typical of what we are discussing today about experiences. Some of the A moments we've even mentioned is like going to government offices, whether it is or public places, having yourself either in the hospitals or some public spaces, and enjoying lengthy waiting bureaucratic time hurdle, as if nobody is in a hurry, as if nobody cares, inefficient processes for you to even access. And same with our telcos, just as Eugene mentioned, customers facing difficulty resolving. Kelvin, you can please move to the next slide. Customers facing difficulties resolving issues or obtaining support. And then when it comes to the communication, it's even worse. Just as we all explained, nobody cares. Like you just speak and you are being stared at. It's like, you are doing too much. What are you talking about? But that is what people fail to appreciate and understand, that experience or customer experience and customer service are not the same. They are two different things. Customer experience is the broader umbrella of which customer service is a subset of it. But can you achieve experience without service? No. But then at the same time, experience is that broader umbrella which encompasses your brand experience, citizen experience, product experience, customer experience, everything experience. So far as you are providing a service for someone or someone is coming in contact with your business. In customer experience, some people would say it is a brand promise well delivered. So what have you promised your customers? That when they come in contact with you, what will they experience? What will they have? Is the end product is what we see, which is a service delivery. But before that service delivery, a lot of things would have gone behind the scene. Customer experience is seen as a business strategy. It's proactive and not reactive. You don't wait for the issue to happen before you work on it. You start anticipating the customer's needs and you work on it ahead of time. So, for instance, using what Desmond just ended with, like you get to the room, the place is dusty, the place is dirty, nobody cares. That dusty aspect, that keeping the room clean before the customer comes, is part of the journey you would have to audit or you would have to design before then the person who is at the reception will deliver the service. But most often we confuse with these two. So we think, oh, services, is the same, but it's never the same. Customer experience is really a strategic role. It's a strategy and it's often championed from the top, from the person who is sitting at the top. If it's a corporate organization, we'll say if the CEO is in charge and would have to empower whoever is handling experience, maybe the customer experience head or maybe the change management head. People use customer experience differently in their organizations. So because people often would confuse us too, when you go to the Western world, majority of companies have tried to rather move away from using titles as customer experience head. So you hear titles such as business transformation head or experience design head or business design. People try to move away so that people will understand that customer experience is everybody's responsibility. It starts from the top, which is the CEO or the entrepreneur or the business owner, to the last person in the business. Toby, you can move to the next slide. So the last person in the business. Customer experience is championed by the CEO, the C-level person, the business owner, and then it trickles down. So if the person who is the business owner or the entrepreneur or the C-level management or the manager does not understand and appreciate experience, there is no way you have a culture in an organization that the employees understand experience. They won't understand it because the person sitting at the top doesn't see the effect of it. Why? Because people are still seeing customer experience as customer service. So they just think, oh, it's for the frontline person. But that is where we get all these things wrong. It's not for the frontline person. Customer experience is a total interconnected perception that customers have of an organization based on their interaction with you at all touch points. So whether it is your employees at the front end, whether it's your business paraphernalias, whether it's your website, whether it's your mobile app, whether it's your ATM, whether it's your company vehicle, or as your call card, all these things, or whether it's an advertising board you've built up, all these things are touch points. So far as these touch points are supposed to link the customer, it forms that barrier between you and the customer to bring the customer together with the business. Experience or perception is being built. During experience with customers, their perception is subjective. You can't say, oh, I served this customer and the customer is happy and you came and you're complaining. No. Even twins are not the same. You can't expect that twins will want to wear the same dress on the same day. It doesn't happen. Customer experience involves being proactive to analyze and anticipate the customer's needs, to make sure that the product, the service you are providing, you are anticipating to know that that is what the customer needs. It demands that you will deliver on what you've promised as your brand promise, that when the customers come in contact with you during the moment of truth, they would have same. With a bigger umbrella, when it comes to customer experience global, to achieve this, we leverage on these competences. That is customer insight and understanding. You need to carry out a lot of market research or customer insights on your customers to understand how they feel, to understand their experience with your brand, with your business, to understand their perception, to understand the motive they have about your brand. We then also have the other strategy or the other competence when it comes to the customer experience strategy. You can develop the strategy into details when you've even done all other competence as well. We also leverage on the metrics, measurements, and return on investment. So customer experience is not a nice thing to have, it's a must-have. It's not the fluffy thing. It's not when you finish all your business strategy, that is the last thing to do. No. Why? Because every department in every organization have a role to play. Is it accounts? Is it finance? Is it procurement? Is it wherever you find yourself? You have a role to play because someone depends on you to get their work done. And that is how it trickles down to the last person or to the frontline person. So the fact that you are not seeing the customer doesn't mean customer experience is not part of your job. Often when we are in an organization or companies that they don't have any KPI of customer experience attached to their job role, they feel they are free. And that is where they cause the mess. Most often when you engage or you experience, maybe let's say a company or a bigger organization that have structures and the frontline person is not able to deliver, majority of the time, apart from it being attitudinal, majority of the time, the stress comes from the back end. It comes from somebody sitting at operations. It comes from somebody sitting in IT. It comes from somebody sitting in procurement. Why? Because there's no stock. They won't update. They won't bring the item. The frontline person gets fed up. Emotional intelligence is now working on the person just reacts negatively. Or it comes from the finance person who is supposed to have paid somebody, or it comes from the IT person who is in charge of maybe the mobile app and it's down, and the frontline person reaches out and say, oh, tell your customers that they should wait. It's not the customers of the frontline person. It's the customer of the organization. So until we see customer experience as a culture in an organization or in a business, we can't proceed. The other competence we leverage on when it comes to developing a good CX strategy is design, experience, and innovation, or design thinking or human-centered design. We leverage on a lot of the tools that design thinking uses when it comes from the empathy map to the journey map to understanding your customers to designing the personas. All these things are done if you have to develop a strategy or customer experience strategy. Because if you don't do that, you don't know who you are serving. You don't know who your product is fitting. So a typical example, just like the complaints, both with what Kofi said and with what Eugene said and Desmond said. So when it comes to the complaints procedure journey, how is it like? Nobody cares because it's the work of the front line. But there's a journey as to how do you resolve issue? Is there a gap in the journey? How do we resolve it? How do we make sure that the customer is happy and the customer gets the best out of it? The last competency we look at as a customer experience global has to do with culture and accountability. It's the work of everybody in an organization. It's not the work of just one person. Everybody has a role to play. So when it comes to customer experience, it needs to be clear. It needs to be concise. Everybody needs to know their role and their play in their place, irrespective of the department you find yourself. Kelvin, please move to the next slide. So with the service you are providing, it's so important that for you to move from A to wow, you need to be sure that in your communication, there's clarity. You have empathy for the customer. Sometimes when we say have empathy for the customer, people think, oh, just understanding, oh, we are sorry. You are sorry. So what? What's the next thing? What are you doing? Sorry doesn't necessarily solve the issue. Sorry is just the first part, which is the 0. You maybe move to 1, not to talk about 10, for it to solve the issue. Being responsive, being convenient, delight. All these things happen at the service delivery point when experience, which is a strategy, has been developed already, where the journey map has been developed and we've identified the gap, where empathy map has been used, we've identified the gap or what we have to do, where customer persona has been designed, we understand who we are serving and how we are going to measure the experience, which are the KPIs we are using. At this point, that is where service comes in. This part is just the service. This part is the customer service we know. So that is where now, when all the strategies are put in place, customer experience hinges on 3 legs: people, process, technology, or system. So if your people leg is faulty, then your experience is broken. People cannot enjoy it, one cannot have seamless experience. If your process leg is faulty, there is no way you can provide a seamless experience. Technology is just an enabler to help you, to enable you provide that experience that your customers need. Currently, customer experience is a competitive advantage. Kelvin, the next slide. Because why? When you provide the experience and you provide it well, you increase retention, customer retention, you increase customer loyalty, you increase positive word of mouth, you increase business profitability. So sometimes we come across these things and we think, oh, it's a work of the front line to help us increase loyalty. No, it's a strategy. It's a culture in an organization. Everybody has a role to play. If all these things are not done, then the problem comes in. There was a scenario recently, somebody needed on the WhatsApp group, we are about 495, almost 5 to be 50 people on the WhatsApp group. And somebody said, I need a dermatologist. And immediately she added the name of a hospital. She said, not this one. So they should give another example, other references. So people mention other businesses or other hospitals. And interestingly, when she said not this one, which she mentioned, about 5 people also said, I'm sure you've had the experience we had. So guess what? 495 people on the page already have a perception about that hospital. And guess what? Today, I needed a dermatologist also. Guess what? When I went to the page, the other hospital they mentioned wasn't my preference. Immediately, I just went to the one that most people mentioned and I called the hospital. That is experience. That you can really destroy your hard-earned reputation just because you think customer experience is a duty or is a role of the front line. But customer experience is the responsibility of everyone in an organization. Why? Because everybody has a role to play. Hence, the reason why we put this session together, because in customer experience, design thinking is key to us. We can't still achieve any of the designs or any of the products or any of the services without having considered or enrolled onto it the different tools that we use on design thinking. This then leads us to what design thinking is all about. Kelvin, please take over.
All right. So thank you very much, Amanda. Well articulated, understanding what the A moments are, which we shared, and then we shared some ideas on what the wow moments are. So the key question is how do we move our our the experiences that our customers go through from an A moment to a wow moment. And I believe at this point, whether the organization or the employees within have understood that customer experience is a very, very important activity to do, right? And if we have to solve it, how do we do that? And design thinking provides us with some tool or some approach to how we can be able to do that. And what is design thinking? For most of you, or for those of you that this is your first time that you are hearing about design thinking in a very simple way is a human-centered approach to solving a problem. The key word is human-centered. We are putting the customer in the at the focus of or the solution that we are going to build, right? So we are not sitting in a room somewhere and brainstorming some ideas and coming in and implementing it, or we are just, more what most organizations will do, have a strategy retreat, go out there, put some ideas together, and then come and implement it. Real, if you are solving a problem, you are solving a problem for somebody, then that person should be the focus so that you can then understand exactly what the pain points are, what the needs of the customers are, who the customer really is. And once you understand that problem, then you can now generate ideas which you would use to solve problems for that customer. So again, coming back to the definition, putting the customer at the center of it, right? And also, if you look at it, we've also highlighted iterative. It means that you constantly human needs evolve. As we go along, things change. Some organizations, when you go there, they'll tell you, I had years, say an idea, no. I mean, in English translation, this is how we do it, right? And you wonder, and some of the A moments that you will encounter, you wonder why we keep doing this if it's not working, right? So design thinking gives you that approach so that you can constantly innovate on your ideas to constantly meet customers' needs. So that's what really design thinking is about, right? So we put the people first. We focus on their needs, what their motivations are, and how we can be able to solve them. And then you go ahead to generate creative ideas that you can use to solve it. So with design thinking, and when it comes to ideation, you are not just thinking about the most obvious ideas. You are opening your mind as wide as it can so that you can generate interesting ideas so that you can solve the customer's problem. Because again, when you generate those creative and innovative ideas, that is when the wow comes in. Because customers would encounter your experience and think, wow, this is very interesting. This is very creative. This is very innovative. And design thinking gives you that tool to be able to do that. And lastly, design thinking is very practical. You have to do it. You start just think brainstorming just ideas and keeping in your mind. You have to practice it. And as you practice it, it even gets better. And it provides you that tool to be able to do that. Now, what is the design thinking process? Right? Empathize, define, ideate, prototype, test. Those are the pillars, right? When we say empathize, what do we mean? Put yourself in the shoes of your customer. Go through what the customer experiences. I've heard in some places where we have like organizations where we have a CEO, and at some different points in the organization's life, they would pretend to be like a customer and do some form of mystery shopping so that they can be able to experience what a customer goes through. So right from the front desk to all the way to when they get the solution that they came for, etc. Just to be able to do that, because if you can't put yourself in the shoes of a customer to understand what clearly their needs are, how then are you going to be how then are you going to solve that problem? So first, we need to empathize. Put yourself in the shoes of the customer. Try to understand. You are observing, you are looking, you are taking notes, you are interviewing your customer. All of this just to be able to have a clear understanding of who your customer is and what's the issue that they are facing. Then the next thing is to define. Now you clearly, out of all the information you've gathered at the empathy stage, putting yourself through the customer's experience, going through what they go through, asking them questions, observing all of that, collecting all that information, you get to the point where you can clearly now define exactly what the problem is. Because sometimes the problem, when we look at it, it's not exactly the problem. Sometimes we are tackling symptoms instead of the problem, right? So when we use tools like the 5 whys, where we keep asking, why is this? Why is this happening? Why does the customer why does the customer give us bad review? Okay, they give you bad review because the service delivery is bad. Why is the service delivery bad? Okay, because the person who's supposed to is hard for us to get, or it takes us a very long time for us to get a delivery person. Why does it take us a long time to get a delivery person. And then you ask yourself all of that and you clearly understand what exactly the problem is. And once you get to the root cause of it, it gives you that ammunition to now say, okay, now I solve the problem. Because once you solve the real problem, you solve the problem for the customer and not just a symptom. So yes, so what do you do next? Once you define the problem, the next thing is to ideate. What do? You brainstorm your ideas, right? And with design thinking, quantity is what we look out for, not just so we look out for quantity and quality. But most importantly, we emphasize on quality, quantity, because most times when we have sessions and we are thinking of ideas, we think of the most obvious ideas or the first two ideas, or when one person brings up an idea. If let's say we are doing it in a team, everybody embraces it and we go ahead with it. But with design thinking, we think quantity is good, because sometimes once you go beyond the obvious two, three ideas that come into your mind, and now you're putting a lot of effort into thinking of other ideas. Sometimes that's where the genius comes in, and that's where the wow ideas come in. And those wow ideas now become a way to delight your customer and exceed their expectation. And by doing so, they keep coming back to your business, right? The next thing that you need to do after ideating or generating ideas is to prototype the idea. So we emphasize a lot on prototyping idea, test the ideas out. For some organizations, they get the ideas. Okay, this is what we want to do. The next step is that they go ahead and commercialize it. But it's very important that you prototype, test it out, get feedback, because once you go full scale and you do it, not only are you looking at your finances suffering, but also you go ahead and implement something that may not work well with your customer, right? Because again, who are we solving the problem for? We need to still go back to that person that we are solving the problem for to give us that feedback. So we prototype and then we test it out and we get feedback. And once we get that form of feedback, then we can go ahead and then commercialize it. So for most organizations, what you would see before they go full scale selling the product is that sometimes they will take it to the market, right? So they talk to the market woman, especially when it's consumables, right? So take it to the market woman, share with them, ask them, what do they think about this? What do they think about this product, right? Or when you start the business, right, they will take a lot of feedback from customers. They will say they want to be able to get a lot of information so that they can constantly improve their product. So design thinking becomes a tool to help you be able to generate this wow moments that crash this a moments that your customers maybe go through, because by employing this tool, you'd have empathize with the customer, you have clearly identified what the problem really is, you've generated many ideas, and you've generated awesome ideas that would then delight the customer, tested it, and then you are fully ready to commercialize it. Now, so when we look at and I think Amanda spoke about it, it's not just the customer service, the whole experience. So right from when the customer needs your product, the customer is already thinking about who can solve my problem for me, right? So right from the need, when the customer needs a service, he has already started thinking about what the experience they're going to go through. So when we're applying design thinking, or we are thinking about customer experience, we're not just thinking about that point of contact where they get the product, but the entire journey from when they realize that they need your product or they need your service, all the way to when you fulfilled the service to them. So design thinking, by using design thinking or tools, we're able to look at the entire journey, right, that the customer goes through, and that's what we call the journey map, right? Another tool that we use in design thinking, the entire journey, right from awareness all the way to when they are even talking to people about your product. So what design thinking do is now you identify you go through that entire process, and if you are solving a problem, you're not just looking at it at just a spot, but you're looking at it in the whole experience, the overall experience, right? And then we create the wow moment. That goes through the whole process seamlessly. So think of it as a holistic process and not just one point. Also, when the customer does, so customer experience doesn't happen just when you have your office or your business set up where the customer come in and then make the purchase. It goes through the entire process from when they even get to the awareness. And that's what by using design thinking tool like the journey map, it opens up the whole customer experience to that point where you can then identify various touch points then and generate ideas to wow their customers. Now, so we would get into an interactive session. We'll use the journey map, which I've explained in the previous slide, right? So the entire process that the customer goes through, we are going to go through a very short session, right? And as I mentioned, with design thinking, it's very practical. It's not just what we hear, but we also have to learn to apply it. And it's by applying that we get to assimilate it well, and then we get to practice it even off the call. So we are going to break into two groups. One group will be facilitated by Amanda, the other one will be facilitated by me. What we intend to do is to identify a problem, and then we will then look at how to solve it. But before we do that, Amanda will go in to take us through this scenario, right? A problem, an A moment to be ready to be transformed into a wow moment. Amanda will take us through, and then after, we'll then go break into the various groups, and then we'll apply the design thinking to an A moment and transform it to a wow moment. So Amanda, over to you.
Okay, thank you very much, Kelvin. So there's this is a scenario we have, and it's a popular scenario that many people can relate to. So it goes this way. A customer discovers a product of interest on an Instagram vendor's page and expresses interest in making a purchase. However, the vendor's communication policy specifies that all orders must be placed via WhatsApp, not through Instagram direct message. Notably, there's no direct WhatsApp link provided, only a WhatsApp phone number, requiring the customer to manually initiate the chat. After completing payment, the customer receives little to no communication from the vendor. Updates when given are vague and inconsistent. When the order finally arrives, the item received is not what was ordered. And the vendor's public policy on its Instagram page has the inscription, no refund or exchange. So this is a scenario we are going to redesign this whole A experience to a wow experience when we go into our various groups. It would be facilitated by Kelvin and myself, but we are just going to help facilitate, but you have to choose who your group leader is, because we'll just be filling the forms or the customer journey for you. But when we come back, each group will have their own group leaders who would take us through how they are transforming the A moment of this particular vendor to a wow experience or to a wow moment. Kelvin.
Yeah, thank you very much. So, yeah, so I think it is clear. I don't know if anyone has any question regarding what the scenario is, because this is what we are going to practice, right? So, there are a lot of challenges that a customer is going through in this scenario, and our job is to transform this A moment, generate ideas, actionable ideas to transform this A moment to wow. I don't know if there are any comments, questions. If not, then we can then get into the groups and then start work.
So
All
I
right.
think you'll see the groups on your screen. Kindly join a group, please, a room.
Stage one says identify where customer says A. And for this experience, the current journey. Identify where customer says A. Yeah, the pain points. So typically on this Instagram vendors page, what will be the E? I think for me, the first A moment for some of these pages is they post items without pricing, and they expect you to come and ask them what is the price
Okay.
again. So
Post items.
yeah, the first
Okay.
right, that's the first biggest E for me.
So that means
And so
the
maybe we
first
go around the room.
the stage will be customer wants to place an order or customer place an order.
That would be customer. So that's awareness, right?
Yeah.
Customer sees the product they
Okay.
want, but price is missing.
Okay. Says product. But price is missing. Okay.
All
Okay.
right.
We're all engaging.
So, right. So, guys, what are some of the other A moments when you see these Instagram pages?
Okay, Isaac here. Good evening, everyone.
Hi, good evening.
Okay, so the A that comes to mind is the no refunds. So I
Okay.
feel instead of the no refunds, probably there could be some window, maybe some days, maybe refunds are possible, maybe within 4 days, within 5 days. It's after that that maybe you lose your right for a refund. But to just
Okay.
no refund, it's a bit of a negative side for
Okay.
me.
Okay, good. So at what stage does that come in? So first, the customer sees the product, the price is missing, and the second stage, what will be the second stage so that we'll know where to put this no refund in that stage?
I think the second stage, and again, that would be since Isaac mentioned no refund, that means he has decided to make a purchase decision, right? But is thinking,
Okay.
what happens after I buy it? What if it's not what I
Yes.
wanted? So I think maybe customer decides, or I don't know, decision, decision stage.
Yes. So awareness consideration. Yeah. So should I put the stage two as customer decides to buy?
Mm,
Yeah.
That would solve the problem, right? So if we can start, what's the customer experiencing? What's the current journey?
So the first thing just coming in, I believe the first thing is them seeing the whichever products that they want to get on Instagram, but not being able to say communicate directly within Instagram and having to go to um, WhatsApp before they can engage in terms of ask any questions. So they have to do quite a lot of work beforehand before they can even, let's say, I've forgotten the term for this, but how they start the engagement even with the company or the brand is it's a long process or a tedious process.
All right. Sure. Thank you very much. I believe that's Desmond, right? Yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
Cool. Yeah. So the beginning, the customer is seeing the product on Instagram, right? But he has to reach out through another platform, WhatsApp. So what's the next stage? So this is the beginning. What's the customer doing next from what we've read? Anybody to share?
Well, I
Like,
guess he makes a consideration to make the purchase.
Okay. All right.
Um, so it's a point of consideration. That's it.
Yeah. Okay. And he makes this purchase on WhatsApp because now that's the platform he has to make the order.
Yeah.
What's next?
then so from consideration, he makes a decision, or he actually takes action to reach out on WhatsApp,
Okay. So the customer.
sends a message on WhatsApp,
Mhm,
or makes
mhm,
a decision to engage
mhm.
on WhatsApp.
I think I kind of captured that in the two, but let me see. Makes a consideration to make a purchase. Okay, let me remove this. So the customer makes the order because here, when the customer makes the consideration, they are looking at the whole instruction. Okay, go to WhatsApp before you can reach out to us, all of that,
Mm-hmm.
right? So the
Mm-hmm.
customer is getting an idea of what the whole interaction is going to look like. All right. So here's when they make the order. So they send the order via WhatsApp, right? What next, please? So I believe once they
No, he
send the order,
receives
now,
feedback.
so go, Amelia, go ahead.
He receives feedback,
Okay,
or he I don't know, communicates with the seller.
okay. So they communicate to receive their product, right?
Mm-hmm.
All right, and then
So just bringing in a point where maybe
mhm,
stage four can be about the actual purchasing. So in terms of how they are actually buying, whether it's through mobile money or not. Then stage
Yeah.
five comes them
The,
actually receiving the
are
product.
are you talking about the payment?
okay.
Are you referring to the mode of payment?
Yeah, so the actual payment process.
Okay.
So
Oh,
I don't know
okay.
if that goes into so after consideration and then making the order, right? If the payment happens there or if that happens at stage four. Because I believe just based off the scenario that was given, stage five would be the actual receiving of the
Yeah,
product and it's not what they
Exactly.
want.
exactly. This one. So I've try to cut, capture the two,
Okay.
so they communicate and make payment to the seller, in order to receive their product. I don't know if I've captured it. Yeah, like
Yeah, I
Yes,
think so.
yes, that sounds about
And
all right.
then the stage 5 is receiving the wrong product.
Yeah, nice, nice, nice. All right. So I think we've done justice to the current. So identify. So the next step is identify where customers say A. So where it looks like the entire process is A, but where do you think the A are coming from? Anyone to share? Or where do you, I mean, from all that what you've seen here?
The restriction of only one platform. And
Okay.
yeah, if I find it on Instagram, I should be able to buy it on Instagram.
All right. All right. So there's a pain point here. So the pain point here is the restriction. So come again. The restriction.
Of only one platform to
Uh,
make the order, as in only on Instagram. Because I mean, sorry, on
to
only on
do that.
WhatsApp.
Yeah.
Yet you are on another platform. It can be quite frustrating. You know, some people are system averse, so it can be in itself. It can even put people off. So
Mm.
that's
I don't know if I've captured it. So the challenge of moving between platforms to make it.
exactly
Yeah.
exactly.
Any more any pain point that we can identify.
I think the delayed response time.
So the delay response time. Okay.
Yeah.
Mm, 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 mm. Um, okay. So I don't know. I should capture it under 3 or 4. Um, 3 is basically saying, "Hey guys, I want to buy your product. I've seen this and I want to buy it." And 4 is more like, "Okay, this is what I want and this is my money. Get it for me." So I don't know where I should capture it. I didn't get a description correct. Uh,
I think it happens at various points in the whole journey,
yeah.
from my understanding of the scenario.
Mm,
So I think um, just thinking through similar experiences that I've had, I believe between stage 1 and stage 2, where the customer is making the consideration, let's say
mm,
you make the move to WhatsApp to engage, and then it's on WhatsApp that you find out that the product you are looking for is no longer available, right?
mm.
Or it's sold out. So then you have to go back to Instagram to now go
Ah,
and look through again and then come back. So even for your consideration of purchase as to the availability of even the product, you now have to go to WhatsApp and then you go through all that to get there and it's like, oh, it's not there. And again, I believe that would be a very painful, annoying experience. Yes. So I think that can be staged.
yep. Because because the product is on a different platform and even if it's not there, you can't see it. So now you have to come to WhatsApp and then go back and forth on all of that. Yeah. So I think I can capture. How do I capture this? That's why I don't know if I've captured the frustration with going back and forth on the availability of a product.
Then I think that works. Or even just about making inquiries generally.
Yeah. Yeah. You don't put in brackets or inquiry. Okay. So I think there was so any other I think there was something here before I was about to write something before we went to that.
The last stage after sales dissatisfaction, no return policy. What can we do to improve? I think we can use what we have here. Provide the guarantee window.
Mm-hmm.
All right. Yeah. And then even after sales dissatisfaction, what can we do? We can also, after a sale is done, provide some sort of like a loyalty or a return, not a loyalty, like a repetitive customer discount or something.
Yeah, I don't.
Or okay, yeah, I think so.
I like a customer rating web.
Yeah, link to
Yeah,
rate the
yeah,
experience or something like that.
yeah. So, like a customer feedback, right? Review,
Mm-hmm.
rating or review, yeah. Or here we can have customer loyalty or customer retention program or incentive. So that, yeah. Okay, so in terms of the current journey, the last part, then
Mm,
what will
think
it
so.
be? what do we advise in this? I mean, I'm sure it's basically same. So customer sees a product and want to buy. I'm sure it will be same as this. So the next one it will be same. I'm sure the journey will be same, but the last part is what will change, right? To say maybe retaining the customer or something, or
Yeah, I think the last part will be whatever icing on the cake that sort of
yeah,
makes the customer journey now distinguishably pleasurable, right? So they are not stressing, they are not in doubt, they are not having less communication, and after that, they are pleased enough to
okay,
rate, give a, let's say, 5-star rating, I guess.
yeah. So the last stage should be, should I say customer loyalty or retention?
Probably retention.
Retention, okay. Yeah. So then it comes with all these.
All right. Hello, everyone. I believe we are all here. For those in my team, we're just at the latter part of it, but I think it got so interesting that we got involved. We spent much time on it, but nonetheless was good. So, is everyone here? Can we continue? Okay. So what we would do is we would then share highlight or learnings from our group discussion with everyone
Yeah, can you hear me?
yeah, I can hear you. Yeah, thank you very much. Yeah.
Yes. So for us, we're going through basically how the most significant steps of the customer's journey was. So stage one being them seeing the product on Instagram, but then having to go into another platform, which again goes into stage two to say if they have any form of inquiries, they have to now move to another platform, which they may or may not give feedback, or they may or may not get feedback, meaning that assuming they reach out for a particular product, but then they get a response at a later date, at that point they might have already dropped off, right? Or they are looking to buy something and then they get there, or now they reach out on WhatsApp and the product is not available, and they have to then go back to Instagram to then look for another product, then come back to WhatsApp again, right? So that kind of presents the both the journey and the pain points or frustrations of stage one and two. And on the assumption that okay, they do find something that is available in terms of now making inquiries about it, how much it is, how to go about the basically what the company's process is, especially if it's the first time that customer is working with the vendor. Is it delivery on payment on delivery, or payment beforehand? All these things, considering that in the scenario was indicated that the vendor wasn't that responsive, even though they found something they want, even potentially getting the thing is a challenge because of the vendors' responses. And then should they then, okay, finally get a response, then being able to communicate to say, okay, I have paid, or this is how to go about payment. I have paid, kindly confirm. Still the issue of responsiveness there, and no response or silence from the vendor until they get the delivery of the product, which evidently becomes or comes as the wrong product, but then they also cannot return it either, right? So that's how we just kind of mapped out both the journey and then the pain points. So in the ideation, which is where we got to before the time was up, the first step that we're looking at was having some form of synergy between the one the sales process or the sales cycle, basically. Say that one comprehensive platform that has both the products, the inquiries, the payments all in one place, right, to make the customer's journey much easier and to reduce this 5-step process or 5-stage process into maybe a 1 or 2 comprehensive process, or even just maintaining the same Instagram structure and WhatsApp structure, having all the information and detail that the customer might potentially need, being that they not having to go to, since there wasn't a link, direct link, them not having to now go and pick the number, save it, go into WhatsApp, then make the inquiry, then get a response, or hopefully get a response of their queries, then say make payment. All that process can be inputted directly within Instagram, so that once they go into WhatsApp, it's a matter of just say confirming payments or just basically getting updates on the stage of which their product is, right? So that again, that drops it back to a 1 or 2 step process. And then finally, having some form of reforming their return policy to allow returns, because maybe the business might have their own reasons for that, but if not done fairly or not communicated clearly, it becomes a way of them also cheating or taking advantage of their customers, which will definitely destroy their reputation in the long run. I think that's summarized. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you very much, Desmond. Yeah. So Amanda.
Okay, Kelby, you can still share our screen with move to the second for with us. Okay. Kofi, can you please take us through?
Right. So let me do this in 1 minute. We had looked at the current journey in about 5 distinct stages. One being awareness, when the customer sees the product and they want to buy. Once they've become aware of the products, then they would want to consider to buy it. And once they've considered to buy it, they would want to make a purchasing decision. And after that, there's all that comes with after sale in terms of how the product gets to them. So the frustrations currently, the moment, I've seen a product on your IG page. I want to buy it, but there's no price. You want me to come and DM you? Okay, I'll do that. But I go onto your profile and I see you have no refund policy. What if I buy it and it's not what I want? Okay, maybe I can deal with that. And I want to make a purchase decision. You say, I can't DM you. But how can I reach you? You said I should go to your WhatsApp message. I go onto your profile, there's no link. I still overcome that and I buy the product. I make the payment and there's no confirmation of payment, no communication from you. Anyways, the product comes, it's what I don't want, and I can't return it. Another I didn't cost yourself. So those were the moments. The areas of improvement we ideated around was first, once I see the product, I don't want to have to come and DM you for a price. So we're expecting to see posts that indicate price as well as some variations if applicable. Once I see that there's no touch point, I don't have to communicate to you, I don't have to text you or nothing. I go on and I want to buy it, but now I see that if I buy it and I don't want it, I can return it. So there's a guaranteed window where I get to return the product. So I don't have to talk to you again. But that is a solid feedback loop that confirms or makes me happy to move on and make the purchase decision. Now, when it comes to purchase, and I don't even have to go on WhatsApp, you're already utilizing IG stores. So I can purchase right away without leaving the app, which is another brilliant opportunity. And once I make the purchase, I want to see some information on you acknowledging receipt of payment, you sharing exactly when I receive my order, you including the receipt, as well as you providing me with some information as to where the product is along the delivery journey. And again, I don't have to talk to you, do anything. I just receive this automatically after I made the payment. And the last one is when I receive the product, I have a window to return it if I don't want it. So that's what we had ideated on. And we think all of this experience baked into the customer journey would organically make the customers happy without they having to ever have a touch point with the seller. So that was what we were able to pull together.
Thank you very much, Kofi. So thank you very much for group 1 and group 2. As we are bringing our session to a close, would say, what are some of our key takeaways for this session? We have just about like 2 minutes for us to share key takeaway. You can type in the chat box or you can unmute and share with us based on our session for today of how we can turn A moments of customers to wow moments. What are some of your key takeaways? Who wants to go? Okay, Michael, please go.
Hi, Amanda. Hi, everyone. I think
Hi.
overall, it's a really good reminder that there should be a strategic focus on enhancing the customer journey. If you can't even aim for wow moments as much as possible, eliminate as many potential A's as you can. That would be my takeaway.
Okay, thank you very much, Michael. Desmond, please let's hear you. Your hand is up.
Oh, I was just clapping for Michael because that's my boss.
Oh,
So
okay, we're just clapping for
special,
Michael. Oh,
special
okay.
shout outs to Michael.
Okay, thank you very much. Any other person, what is your key takeaway for today, or what have we learned, or what has been the aha moments for us as well, or for you? I think I have somebody. Okay, Desmond, your
No,
hand is
just
up this time
yes,
around, right?
just yes. Now my hand is up.
Unfortunately.
So I think maybe beyond this scenario, sometimes it's good to use these to review our own already existing processes because maybe in the beginning we didn't have A moments, right? But maybe as we got bigger or as maybe you started a business, when you had your initial clients, your processes were quite let me see, they were wow moments, right? But definitely maybe as more orders came in or as more jobs come, the journey is not stagnant, right? It can adjust and adapt as your business grows or as even the market changes, right? So I think it's also just a good point to say that maybe we don't even know that the existing experience we have has become an A moment because when we started, it was always a wow, right? And it's good to always go back and reflect and review to see or even engage with customers to see that are we still the wow we think we are, right? Have we improved? Have we become an A, right? And even our competitors, are they doing wows? And how are they doing their wows? How can we reflect that? Just as a point of reflection as well.
Okay, thank you very much. I think I have Emilia, right?
Yes, you do. Hi, Amanda. Such a
Hi,
wonderful
Emilia.
presentation. I really enjoyed it. There was something that you said about making customer experience measurable, um, or it being one of the outputs or KPIs that
Yeah,
it kind of struck because I think, you're right. The sales target is a KPI, optimized processes for operations is a KPI, but usually the customer experience is we talk about it, but it's not something that we really measure. So
yeah.
when you mention it, struck a chord, of course, then it also begs the question of how do you measure, and what are some of the ways that you can measure to see if you are on track and where you need to improve. But it was very nice. The A moments, wow moments, I thought it was so cool. So thank you guys for the presentation.
Okay, thank you very much. Hi, Tete, how are you? Okay. Any
Yeah, okay,
takeaway?
quick one. I was wondering whether this was relevant, but with my experience, you mentioned it in your intro
Okay.
about the importance of customer excellence, service, etc. But what I hold passionate about is um, the customer at the end is not only the customer. Internally, we are all customers to each other. So if my service delivery to supply chain, if my service delivery to the factory, if my service delivery to sales or marketing are not synchronized well, you can not have a satisfied customer at the end, outside of the gate, outside of the institution. So if we are not able to actually have a very strong team of customer experts who are continuously delighting internal customers, I mean, we should forget about the external customer. So that is what I wanted to add. You may have said it in different ways, but this is how I want to point out that we internally are customers to each other. So that's where we should also be strong at before we can have any excellent service delivery outside. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Ai. Yeah, so you rightly said it. We mentioned it earlier on that one way or the other, everyone in a company depends on someone to get their job done. So whether you are in supply chain, you are in factory, you are in procurement, you are in finance, you have a role to play because CX is a culture, customer experience is a culture, and everybody has to be held accountable to it. So we don't see it as just the frontline employee as that is their role, but from the CEO to the last person in an organization, everybody has a role to play. And then just as Emilia asked, so customer experience is measurable. We have different KPIs we use. So we have the NPS, which is the Net Promoter Score. We have the CES, which is the Customer Effort Score. We have the CSAT. We have first time resolution. So based on the business's strategy and the customer experience strategy developed, you'll be able to design some of these KPIs using either feedback surveys or customer
Sure.
insight
Excellent.
surveys or
Good.
mystery shopping surveys.
Good.
So we have
Good.
these various tools that we use in measuring these KPIs to make sure that everybody is delivering on their expectations.
Mandate.
So we say thank you very much to all of you. And before Kelvin takes over, I would say let's make the experiences of our customers, both internal and external, very easy so that everybody will enjoy their work, so that we'll be able to delight our customers. And also let's enhance our customers' journey. Let's make it very seamless and very convenient. And then lastly, let's focus on the individual customer needs to make sure that we are really providing the needs and satisfying the needs of our customers. Kelvin.
Yeah, Amanda, thank you very much. I'm just here to reiterate the point I made on the on design thinking, and it being a tool to be able to do these things that we want to do, transform this A moment to a wow moment, right? So we went through the journey map, which helped us to be able to visualize the journey the customer goes through, right? So from when they have the awareness to when they do the advocacy, where they are talking to people about the product, whether it's a negative experience or a positive experience, all that process, right? So the journey map is one of those tools. There are many tools that you can use under design thinking. And design thinking, because of its approach, where it places the customer's needs at the center of the whole process or the whole activity, it becomes a very effective tool for us to use. So take the time, take what we've discussed here and practice it. If you run a business, take out the journey map too, and then try and map out what experience that your customers go through. You can begin by making some assumption on what you think they go through, and then go a step further by engaging them so that you can get the actual process that they go through, and then you can be aware of whether you are giving them a moment or wow moment, especially if you are not really aware where your customers really stand. And that should be able to give you some leverage on how you can grow your business, because your customers are your lifeline. They are literally the blood of the business. And once you don't have customers, you are not functioning. So you want to be able to go above and beyond to delight them. I mean, if you look at the numbers, if you have a customer, you have to spend 5 times. You know, if you look at a business that has one customer, they spend an extra money if they have to go and look for a new customer. So, the best you can do is provide the promise that your product has, or what your service is offering. And once you do that, you should be able to keep your customers for as long as they can, and you keep innovating. So, take the tools, apply it, and then see how you can be able to transform these experiences for your customers. And if you're working internally as well, this can also be able to help you render better service, whether you are working internally in a company as an employee, or externally as a business owner. So design thinking gives you that tool to be able to do that. So guys, thank you very much for making time for this session. We hope that you've learned something and you've taken something away so that you can go and practice it. And we are hoping that we would see you again in the next design thinking session. Thank you very much for your time.
Thank you very much, everyone. And if you are stuck and you don't know how to go about it, this webinar was brought to you by the Design Thinking Ghana Hub, and we are here to support you, whether it's being in trainings or in strategy sessions like this, or helping you develop some of these tools in your business. You can count on Design Thinking Ghana Hub to be able to help you achieve that. So we'll say thank you to everyone, and thank you for staying with us till the end. And we hope you've enjoyed this session and you've taken something away with you. Enjoy the rest of your evening. Bye.